What's going on, guys? Austin here, and in this video, we are going to be taking a look at the Extra Points Week 9 bets of the week. So, to get started, we are going to go over my Week 8 recap, which is probably going to make me cry. I had such a horrendous week. I'm going to go with one more week of betting on these numbers on the side right here before I just start doing the opposite, because I've had too many 4 and 6 weeks for this to be happening. This was just an awful week. I got all these wrong. Falcons were up 6 with 40 seconds left, but they gave up the touchdown. The Jets had 3 interceptions against New England. The Colts, gave up that horrendous last play touchdown. It was ridiculous. And then the Bengals was just a pure miss, and the Ravens was just a pure hit. But I mean, just unbelievable happenstance on some of these. So our season record right now is 25-39, which is awful. But we're going to turn that around. This is halfway through. We're gonna be starting to skyrocket in third. So without further ado, we're going to get into the over-unders. I like the Bills at Jets under 46.5. Now this 46, 46.5. It's not a big over-under, but it's big enough for two defensive-minded teams. Especially considering that the Jets are minus, some offensive pieces. And I think that the Packers kind of showed a little bit of what it could look like to slow down Buffalo. Buffalo didn't score in the second half of that football game against Green Bay. They're both heavy on the unders, a combined 11-4 hitting the unders, and they're both in the negative as far as hitting that over-under on the season. Chargers at the Falcons, I like the over on this. Combined 9-6 on the over. And then together, they're about 7.5, 7.3 points hitting the over. So 49.5 Chargers at Falcons. It's not a great, it's not too big that, we can't go over it. Plus the Chargers are coming off a bye, but their defense isn't healthy still. So I like their offensive weapons against this Falcons team. Now the Raiders at Jaguars, I like that under 47.5. I think that, both teams failed to cover the spread. I think they're both going to be a little bit better now. Raiders obviously aren't going to score 0 points against the Jags. That would help. But Raiders 2-4-1 on the under. I'm not too concerned about that. I believe that the Jags have a good enough defense, and that's what I'm going for. Overall, what we're looking at is those minus numbers, because no matter what, these teams have, put together, they have lesser performing offenses and better performing defenses. I like the Seahawks at Cardinals over 50.5. Both teams are in the positive as far as against the spread, or not against the spread, but as so far as against the over-unders. Seattle's on average, they're 4-4, and Arizona is 3-4-1. Not too concerned about that. I just like these teams' ability to score points. And then I like the Ravens at Saints over 48.5, mainly because I don't fully trust the New Orleans defense quite yet. It'll be getting there, but even if I did, the Ravens have an extra, 3 days of rest coming off of Thursday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So they'll be able to score no matter what. The Ravens are 3-5 in the overs, but the Saints are 5-3. But they're both in the positive, a collective positive of almost 10 points right there. So that's what we're going with. And then coming to hit the spreads, I like the Ravens minus 2.5. We just talked about it. I like them because they have the extra rest. Baltimore's 3-4-1 against the spread. But three of those 4 losses include those horrendous meltdowns in the fourth quarter. One of them is the loss to Cleveland, where Cleveland just barely covered. And then the last one, that tie, that's that Buffalo game where Buffalo had to drive the length of the field to, kick a field goal to go up by, however many points it was to lock in that tie. What I like about that is New Orleans, I wouldn't say they're coming off of a short week because, it's like a full regular rest. But compared to the Ravens, Dennis Allen, versus John Harbaugh in the coaching matchup, I definitively like John Harbaugh getting a rest advantage there. Now, Texans plus 14 versus Philly. The stats aren't going to look great here. Houston is 3-3-1 against the spread, and they're just barely in the positive, while Philly is 5-2 and almost +5. But the reason why I can't take Philly minus 14 points is this is Thursday Night Football right here. So it's going to be a short week for both teams, which means that there's going to be less time to rest. Philly just added players on defense. Houston did not trade away any of their players. But more specifically, like Brandon Cooks, there was rumors all about him. And he's kind of had like an awkward tweet. He wasn't at practice this week. And not being at practice on Tuesday, you only have one more day of practice before you're going through walkthroughs. So I like the under in this game. But more importantly than that, I like the Texans to be able to cover plus 14, just because it's incredibly hard to cover a 14-point spread with, a low under that's going to hit. I like the Jets plus 12.5 versus Buffalo. Now, Buffalo is good against the spread, but so are the Jets. The Jets are 5-3 against the spread with an average of plus 6.3. Buffalo is 4-2-1. I think this is a slight overreaction to the New England game. If all those interceptions turn into just field goals or punts in the Jets game against New England, they would win that game. They're probably going to win it 20-12. And so, for that reason, I think that the Jets, we have a little bit of value on them right now. Vegas is somewhat undervaluing them. And so as good as Buffalo is, I think that they showed a little bit of a weakness against Green Bay schematically. And Robert Saleh is a smart enough defensive coach. He'll be able to, keep this game a lot closer. And the Pats minus 5.5 versus Indy. This is purely just because Indianapolis is a bum football team. They should have traded away everybody. I can't believe that they didn't. Indy is 3-5 against the spread, but they're minus 4.6. And New England is 4-3-1, just barely above average, but they're +2. So, that's good on them. And then my last spread, I like the Kirk Cousins revenge game, minus 3.5 at Washington. Now, the stats would bode out, Minnesota's 3-4, while Washington's 4-4. It's not really a huge difference. Vikings are just barely over. Washington is a little bit under. But I think that the Vikings are on a roll. They haven't lost since week 2, I think, against Philadelphia. And, they had a bye last week, or they had a bye 2 weeks ago. They came off the bye. They beat a good Cardinals team at home, and now they're going to go on the road fully healthy with an addition of TJ Hawkinson. I like this team right here. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay up to date on all of our future content.